What happened that you noticed?
I noticed that she had become very anxious. She told me she was anxious about going back to work because Callan was having trouble taking a bottle and she didn't feel right about leaving him.
And as a result of that, did she tell you that she was going to put off going back to work?
Yes, she told me she was applying for an extension.
Now, did you know at that point that she was going through any issues involving depression or anxiety or having any suicidal ideation or anything like that?
At that point, no.
At what point, if any, did you become aware that your daughter was suffering from this symptomology?
In late October.
And how did that come about?
She sent me a text message.
So let me call when that was. As a result of receiving that text, did you then come up to...
Hold on a second.
Exhibit W for identification.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you.
So as a result of that, did you come up to Duxbury?
Yes, same day.
And tell us about that. What happened that day at the end of October?
Lindsay had been, I believe she went to the emergency room that day and she had come home. She was feeling a bit better. She told me that she couldn't sleep. She was very anxious and she was afraid. On Christmas
how long
Day.
did you stay with her? She with Pat?
Yes.
Okay, and the kids?
Yes.
During that period of time, did you make further observation as time went into January? Oh, back it up. At some point, she voluntarily went into McLean Hospital?
Yes.
You knew that?
Yes.
How did you know that?
I was there.
What do you mean you were there?
I was at Lindsay's house staying with them.
You take care of the kids?
Yes.
And it's fair to say that Pat's parents, mom and dad, also stepped up, taking care of the kids, helping out during this period of time?
They were there, I guess, when we weren't there. I didn't really see them, but...
Right, because you guys would be different time frames.
Right.
But you all were pulling together as a family, is that
Right.
correct? January, leading up to...
Before we get into this testimony, pay close attention to the timeline, because this case is not simply about someone saying they were struggling. What the jury is about to hear is a detailed account of a dramatic change in Lindsay's behavior, beginning in the fall of 2022 and continuing through the holiday season and into January. At first, according to the testimony, everything appeared relatively normal. Then, around October, her mother says she began noticing anxiety, fear, insomnia, and an increasing inability to function normally. And what makes this testimony especially significant is that these observations are being connected to specific dates, specific conversations, medical treatment, and eventually an extremely serious statement about the children. The witness isn't describing one isolated bad day. She's describing a progression. Lindsay became afraid to be alone, stopped wanting to drive, lost weight, became increasingly paranoid, struggled with memory, and repeatedly expressed that she didn't feel like herself. The testimony also places her mother directly in the home, helping care for Lindsay and the children during this period. That gives the jury a first-hand account rather than simply second-hand speculation. But there's an even bigger question here. How severe had Lindsay's condition actually become, and what did the people around her understand at the time? Because later testimony is going to reveal that Lindsay herself was telling her family that something was seriously wrong. So as you watch this unfold, keep track of the timeline and ask yourself, when did the warning signs become impossible to ignore? And how should a jury interpret testimony describing such a dramatic change in someone's behavior? Now let's go back to the beginning, because the witness first establishes that there was no obvious problem during the summer.
Did you observe in the summer of 22 any changes at that point in her personality and the way she was acting with her friends and in society?
In the summer, no.
And they were having a fairly good summer.
Yes.
Did you notice at some point a change in Lindsay's demeanor?
Yes.
Tell the jury when that was.
It was sometime probably around the second week of October.
What happened that you noticed?
I noticed that she had become very anxious. She told me she was anxious about going back to work because Callan was having trouble taking a bottle and she didn't feel right about leaving him.
And as a result of that, did she tell you that she was going to put off going back to work?
Yes, she told me she was applying for an extension.
Now, did you know at that point that she was going through any issues involving depression or anxiety or having any suicidal ideation or anything like that?
At that point, no.
At what point, if any, did you become aware that your daughter was suffering from this symptomology?
In late October.
And how did that come about?
She sent me a text message.
And do you recall when that was?
Yes, that was on October 20th.
Now, Your Honor, the government has introduced into evidence the entire of the phone dumps, if you will, and I think they put it on a disc, and it's probably thousands of pages, but I do have the text thread that deals with that time frame in October. I'd like to offer that so that it's apparent what I'm referring to rather than having to search through thousands of pages of a disc.
No objection.
Okay. They may be admitted.
So approaching, let me offer this thing. Here we go.
276.
Now, the text message that you're referring to, would that be on October 20th of 2022?
Yes,
And do you have that on your phone right now?
I do.
Can you just pull that up for us?
I can. Just give me a moment. Okay, I have it.
Counselor, do you have a copy maybe that she could look at?
Oh, I have a copy.
Yeah, that might be easier for the witness.
So I'm going to approach you with this board and ask if this is a copy of the text that you're referring to.
Yes, it is.
Would you read that for the jury?
Mom, will you please come up and stay with me for a bit? I'm really sick. Something is wrong. I had horrible insomnia all night, and I just don't know how I'm going to get through the day.
That text message is a major moment in the testimony because it gives the jury something more concrete than a family member simply saying, "She seemed different." The witness has identified the date as October 20th, and the message describes insomnia, fear, anxiety, medication, and a direct request for her mother to come stay with her. From a courtroom perspective, the significance isn't that a single text automatically proves every allegation in the case. It doesn't. The jury still has to evaluate the evidence as a whole, consider credibility, and determine what weight to give each piece of evidence. But this message can provide context for the witness's observations because it documents what Lindsay was reportedly experiencing at that specific time. And notice the sequence. The witness first says she didn't know Lindsay was experiencing these problems earlier in the summer. Then the change appears in October, followed by this very specific communication. That's important because timelines matter enormously in legal proceedings. A documented communication can potentially help establish when certain circumstances were occurring and what was being reported at the time. And now the testimony moves from a message on a phone to what happened in person, because Lindsay's mother says she came to be with her that same day.
I started taking the medicine my doctor prescribed for anxiety, and I think it's made things worse. It's just really scary, and I don't want to be alone.
You want to write off this?
Objection. It's already in evidence.
What do we mark it for identification? Is that text within the...
I'd rather have
thrust?
it in the board.
Well, I know you would, but we already have the...
They want a little painting. Can I just offer the board like...
No, we're going to mark that for identification. The text that is been referred and read to is within Exhibit 276, which was just off.
I'm sorry, which is what?
I think it was within Exhibit 276, which was within that thread that you just offered.
Okay, so I will then, that would be 276,
Yeah.
so that will be over here. As a result of receiving that text, did you then come up to?
Hold on a second.
Exhibit W for identification.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you.
So as a result of that, did you come up to Duxbury?
Yes, same day.
And tell us about that. What happened that day at the end of October?
Lindsay had been, I believe she went to the emergency room that day, and she had come home. She was feeling a bit better. She told me that she couldn't sleep, she was very anxious, and she was afraid.
And how long did you stay with her?
At that point,
Yes.
I believe at that point I stayed for about a week.
And was your husband with you?
He came later. He didn't come directly with me then because he was still working, so he came later.
I never asked, what did you do for work?
I worked for Weight Watchers.
And you're retired?
Yes.
How about your husband? Is he working now?
He recently retired.
And what was the nature of his work?
He was in photography,
What kind of photography?
school picture photography.
For yearbooks and things like that?
Yeah, and school pictures, when you had your kids' pictures taken.
And he just recently retired.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that during the month of October into November, into the holidays in December, that you and your husband would stay with Lindsay and the kids?
Yes. I stayed more than my husband because he needed to go back home to work.
Sure. While you were staying with Lindsay, can you tell us your opinion as to her condition? Was it decompensating? Was she getting better as time went on through November and December into the holidays?
Through November into December, it was not getting better into the holidays.
And you knew she was on medication at that point?
Yes.
You knew she was seeing doctors at that point?
Yes.
So tell us, is there an incident that came to your mind that you recall that
Now
occurred
the
on one
testimony is becoming much broader than a single episode in October. The witness is describing what she says was a continuing decline through November, December, and into January. She says Lindsay lost a significant amount of weight, became paranoid about things the witness considered illogical, and repeatedly said that her thoughts and behavior didn't feel like the person she had been before. There is also testimony that Lindsay became afraid to drive and that her family helped transport her and care for the children. That matters because the jury isn't being asked to evaluate one isolated statement in a vacuum. They're hearing a series of observations from someone who says she was physically present and involved in the household during this period. At the same time, it's important to separate observation from conclusion. A family member can describe what she saw and heard, but the ultimate legal significance of those facts is for the jury to determine based on all the evidence presented. And there's another important detail here. Lindsay was apparently still trying to perform ordinary responsibilities while struggling. She was attempting to care for her children, dealing with school routines, and worrying about how other people might perceive her. That combination, trying to maintain normal life while reporting that something was fundamentally wrong, adds another layer to the testimony. But the next section pushes the issue even further, particularly when the witness describes what Lindsay believed her medication was doing to her.
occurred on one evening that indicated to you how seriously she was suffering?
There were many. One particular evening that was disturbing to me was that, she was afraid to be alone, and she actually asked if she could sleep with me.
When was that?
That was late November, early December.
And did she indeed sleep with you on that occasion?
She did.
Continuing on through the holidays, did you guys get together for the holidays, Christmas or Thanksgiving, if you recall?
Yes, I was down there probably most of December through Christmas Eve, and then I left on Christmas Eve to come home to see my other daughter and her family, and then Lindsay actually came to my house later the day on Christmas Day.
Was she with Pat?
Yes.
Okay, and the kids?
Yes.
During that period of time, did you make further observation as time went into January? Oh, back it up. At some point, she voluntarily went into McLean Hospital?
Yes.
You knew that?
Yes.
How did you know that?
I was there.
What do you mean you were there?
I was at Lindsay's house staying with them.
You take care of the kids?
Yes.
And it's fair to say that Pat's parents, mom and dad, also stepped up, taking care of the kids, helping out during this period of time?
They were there, I guess, when we weren't there. I didn't really see them, but...
Right, because you guys would be different time frames.
Right.
But you all were pulling together as a family, is that
Right.
correct? January, leading up to January 24th, do you recall, and can you tell the jurors what, if any, observations you made of Lindsay and her condition?
Lindsay had lost a lot of weight. She had become, during this whole time, paranoid about different things that really she shouldn't have, really weren't logical to become paranoid about. She would mention that this wasn't her mind. She would say to me, this isn't me, I've never been like this.
That final statement is easily one of the most serious moments in this excerpt. The witness says Lindsay was nervous, told her husband and mother that she needed to tell them something, and then disclosed that she had thoughts of harming the children. That is a dramatically different level of testimony from the earlier discussion about anxiety, insomnia, or difficulty driving. But this is exactly where careful courtroom analysis matters. A statement about thoughts is not automatically the same thing as an action, intent, or completed conduct. The jury has to consider the precise language, the surrounding circumstances, when the statement was made, who heard it, and how it fits with the rest of the evidence. The witness is also recounting a statement allegedly made by Lindsay, so the legal treatment of that statement can depend on the specific evidentiary context and the purpose for which it is offered. What we can say from this testimony is that the witness portrays Lindsay's condition as progressively worsening and increasingly frightening to the family. Earlier, Lindsay reportedly asked not to be left alone. Later, she was described as paranoid, struggling with memory, and feeling unlike herself. And now the jury has heard testimony about thoughts involving the children. That progression is likely to be a critical part of how the testimony is understood. The question isn't simply, was Lindsay struggling? The evidence presented here is aimed at establishing how severe that struggle became and what the people closest to her observed.
This isn't me, I've never been like this before. And I would agree because she wasn't. She was attempting to go through the motions of her day, take care of the kids as best she could. She didn't want to drive. So at times when Pat didn't go pick the kids up at school, I would drive Lindsay to pick the kids up at school because she was afraid to drive.
Did she express to you concern that in this time frame that people at the school, teachers and other people would be able to know what she was thinking and would think that she wasn't a good mother because she was sick?
Yes, she said, the school knows something's going on because I'm not driving my car. They see that I'm not driving my car to pick the kids up.
Do you recall the end of January that she made a statement to you about the medication, in her opinion, what it was doing to her mind?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said that she couldn't remember anything. The medication was pretty much just destroying her mind, and it wasn't her. She said, this isn't me. I just want to feel better and enjoy my kids again.
Now, I know that this is difficult. In December of 2022, do you recall a time that you were in the kitchen with Lindsay and Patrick and she made a statement about her state of mind to her husband, Pat, and you were there?
Yes.
I know it's difficult. Just tell us what you remember.
I remember her being very nervous. I remember her saying, I just have to tell you guys something. And then she told us.
What did she tell you?
Stepping back from the individual answers, there is a clear chronological thread running through this testimony. The witness begins by saying that the summer of 2022 appeared relatively normal. Then, around October, she noticed a significant change. By October 20th, Lindsay was reportedly communicating that she was extremely anxious, unable to sleep, frightened, and uncomfortable being alone. Her mother then says she came to stay with her and remained involved for an extended period. As the testimony continues, the witness describes the problems continuing rather than resolving. She says Lindsay was receiving medical care, taking medication, losing weight, becoming increasingly paranoid, avoiding driving, and expressing concern that others, including people at the children's school, would think she was a bad mother. She also describes Lindsay saying that the medication was affecting her memory and that she didn't feel like herself. Then comes the most serious disclosure in the excerpt. The witness says Lindsay told her and Patrick that she had thoughts of harming the children. Whether and how that statement affects the legal issues in the broader case is something the jury must determine from the complete record and the applicable instructions from the court. And that is the key takeaway from this section. The testimony isn't just about one moment. It's about a claimed progression, supported by first-hand observations, a dated text message, family involvement, and statements attributed directly
What
to
did she
Lindsay.
tell you?
She told us that she had thoughts of harming the children.
Thank you very much.
Based strictly on the testimony provided in this excerpt, the witness presented a detailed account of Lindsay's reported decline from the summer of 2022 through the following winter. She testified that Lindsay initially appeared to be doing well, but that by October she had become increasingly anxious and later communicated that she was experiencing severe insomnia, fear, and difficulty being alone. The witness then described staying with Lindsay, observing continued problems through November and December, and seeing changes that included weight loss, paranoia, reluctance to drive, memory difficulties, and repeated statements that she did not feel like herself. The testimony ultimately reached its most serious point when the witness recalled Lindsay telling her and Patrick that she had thoughts of harming the children. That statement carries obvious emotional weight, but courtroom analysis requires us to distinguish between what the witness personally observed, what Lindsay allegedly said, and what the complete evidence ultimately proves. The jury, not commentary, must determine the significance of those facts under the law and the court's instructions. One important limitation: the transcript you've provided ends with this testimony and does not include a final verdict or judicial ruling, so it would be inaccurate to claim that the judge or jury reached a particular conclusion from this excerpt alone. What do you think? Does this testimony establish a clear progression in Lindsay's condition? Or do you think the jury would need significantly more evidence before drawing conclusions? If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.